today's video.
So today we are officially in September, so I wanted to do my wonderful August wrap up for you guys. Now if you guys remember, I did a video back in August that was like all the books I hope to get to soon. I basically went on a rant about how I don't like doing TBRs because I can never seem to stick to TBR, so I did a TBR video that was not supposed to be a TBR. But anyway, that video, if you have any clue what I'm talking about, I'll link it down below. But I had all these books that I said I was going to get to soon, or I hope to get to soon. Well, I am here to tell you I read none of them. So that's good. I accomplished a lot. It was wonderful. It was a fantastic time. But anyway, I wanted to tell you guys about what I did read in the month of August. So first up, as I've said before, I was going through what is called the 100 Oaks series. This is basically a series all by the same author that is just a whole bunch of contemporary stories that have to deal with sports in some way or somebody getting over something and the typical contemporary things. So first up, I read Catching Jordan by Miranda McKeely, and I'm going to butcher her name this entire time and I am so sorry. But I read Catching Jordan, which is the first book of the 100 Oaks series, and I personally really enjoyed it. It's all about this girl named Jordan who is a football player. Her father was a professional player and she just wants to continue playing while also learning how to be a girl in high school and have relationships and all these different aspects that we all naturally deal with throughout high school. And it was a very good story. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. I did actually thoroughly enjoy it. It caught my attention, kept my attention. No part of it was like, oh, this is stupid. So if you want a nice little light sportsy kind of read, go check it out. Also with that, because I have no clue how to pay attention to series order, I also read Coming Up for Air. This is also a part of that 100 Oaks series, however it is book number 8. I read 1 and then I read 8. As you can tell, I am fantastic at paying attention to the orders of stories, which I clearly am not. So Coming Up for Air is all about a girl in swimming who is trying to figure out the difference between being fully involved in your sport and having a relationship, and all of the typical things that go along with the last story that I just said apply to this story as well. This one I also gave a 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I wanted to know what happened next. It was a nice read and I absolutely recommend checking it out. Now, after realizing my mistake, I went back and read book number 2 of the 100 Oaks series, and that is Stealing Parker. This one's all about softball and baseball and that kind of area. It also has a lot to do with a girl trying to fit in a community where she doesn't necessarily fit in anymore. This one also kept my attention. I didn't enjoy this one as much because I felt like we were having a push and pull of some different dynamics that I just wasn't really interested in, but overall it was a good story. This one for me was a 2-star because of that push and pull dynamic that I didn't really enjoy that much, but it was still worth it, still an awesome part of the series. While going through these books, I also on audiobook listened to Tempest and Slaughter by Tamora Pierce. This one I actually got into because I saw that Booksplosion was reading it and I wanted to know what they were talking about, and also I've seen this cover everywhere and everything I've heard is that this cover has nothing to do with what the book is actually about, so I wanted to dive into that world. We follow a boy who basically goes on a journey through school while he's the most powerful and also dealing with all these different dynamics, and it's just the title Tempests and Slaughter leads you to believe that this story is a lot more than what it actually is. So that's part of the reason why this story for me was a 2.5 star. I just was thoroughly expecting so much more out of this story. Not a boy going through school, making friends, being lonely, going from being a little boy to being a teenager. It's just not what I expected of this story, and so that was a little disappointing. However, I will absolutely be looking out for the second one because I would be interested to see where these characters go and what Tamora Pierce does with this story. Next up, going back to the 100 Oaks series, I read Defending Taylor. Now, I believe this is book number 5 or 6. I didn't write down which one it is, but this one is about a girl named Taylor. Duh. Her father is a senator, She has to deal with being kicked out of her private school, and she has to go to Hundred Oaks High, which is where the rest of the stories have taken place. And this one is very interesting. If you do not know this about me, I grew up playing soccer, so I was absolutely interested in reading the sportsy book about soccer and romance, and I really connected with this story and I really enjoyed it. So this one was a 3-3.5 star for me because it did hit a lot of elements that I grew up and dealt with in high school and that I just honestly really enjoyed. Next up, continuing on my little binge read of all these Shatter Me books, I also read Destroy Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is one of the novellas for this series. I wasn't a big fan of the novellas of this series. I was expecting more out of them, I guess. I might have just been projecting my feelings from the actual series onto the novellas, therefore they weren't as thrilling and exciting, but overall they were decent, they were good. I can't complain too much. They weren't really my favorite. But also with that, I did read Restore Me by Tahereh Mafi. This one took me a little bit to get into, but once I hit about 30-40% into the book, it took off. I couldn't stop. I loved every single second. The ending is just like the ending is spectacular and I can't wait for the next book. I thoroughly and totally understand now why people love this series and why people love the main couple of these books, and I can't get enough. If you have not read the Shatter Me series, the entire series is a full 5 out of 5 for me, so go check them out. They are totally worth it. So next up is another 5 out of 5, and this entire series is, but we're gonna start with book number 1, and that is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Raj. This book is fantastic. I have seen this cover everywhere. Actually, this might have been on my August list of things I wanted to read, and I have no idea because I haven't watched that video in a while, but we're gonna say this is on there so I feel like I accomplished something. So this book is actually very, very good. We follow a girl named Mira who is part of a refugee group who got kicked out of their kingdom of winter, and it's all about them trying to figure out how to get their kingdom back. Snow Like Ashes is the first one. I always saw this cover, was very intrigued, wanted to know. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this series, so I absolutely needed to know what this was all about. So this one was a 5 out of 5 for me, along with Ice Like Fire and Frost Like Night. This entire series was just very dynamic, the push and pulls. Usually a second book you have a lower point because the characters are developing, and even in that developmental stage of this series, I really felt like I knew the characters and I was going on this journey with them. It was fantastically done. I was so excited to read it. I'm very sad it's over, but I recommend them to everybody. They are completely and totally worth it. Go check out these books. Just, you will thank me later. Lastly, I am about 62% into Born at Midnight by C.C. Hunter. This was a book that I had sitting on my shelves for a very long time. I actually took it off as part of an unhaul, but now as I have gone back, I saw it on my Overdrive app that my library had it, and I figured why not give it a chance. We'll see where we end up. Now I'm about 62% and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's all about a girl going to a summer camp for supernaturals and figuring out what kind of supernatural she is. It's a weird dynamic, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Let's leave it at that. If I decide to do a review of it, you guys will absolutely see it. Otherwise, let me know down below if you've read the series or if you've read any of these books. Also, guys, what did you read in the month of August? Let me know down below. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe so we can grow this channel. As always, guys, stay awesome, and I will see you next time.